no point did it feel like he was able to take over the game. And the picks don't allow him. We need to see something different from Gen G if we do want to go to a silver scrapes. And let me tell you, after so many series, it ends in 3-0s, in 3-1s. How cool would it be if this one goes the distance?
I think we deserve it at this point. You know, as fans of the game, I think we need 5. But, you know, it'll come down to the way the players play and how the teams do battle it out. Maybe T1 descended here, as the bans are the same, but this time we do have a Lucian first pick.
Lucian going over to Pays here to potentially bring this one back to 5. So go back to blue side here a second time, but this time play what you lost to, at least in terms of the bottom lane here for Gen G. Pick up that Taliyah, warp objectives to your favor. You'd love to see it if you're a Gen G fan. We've seen so many good games of Pays on the Lucian. More consistent picks this season. A lot of discussion, though, about what that lock-in's going to be, if it's going to be the Taliyah or something else.
At the same time, Pays and Lahans, neither of them have looked that great. I think last game more so Lahans, but in one of the earlier games, more so towards the end of Lahans with a couple of the plays that he made, as you pointed out, Wolf. Think back to summer where a couple of his level 1s just got killed in lane, and that type of snowball you can't afford against a team like T1. Aso coming back again last time. There was too much backline dive. This time though, it's going to be T1 that is piloting the kite back home. And imagine the BM if they swap the drafts and take their first LCK victory in 2 years with this composition.
Could happen. Of course, the Aurelion Soul is one difference so far, but the bottom lanes could be a big talking point for sure. No sign of Zeri either. Just banned in Game 2, and that was it. Just getting more Aphelios today.
Certainly, obviously the crit item changes on this patch make Aphelios a lot more viable, a lot more of a power pick than it was on the previous patches. Rumble and Jace taken away here. Maokai is still up. It's a very powerful pick right now that could link with a lot of what these two teams can put together. As once again, the Vayne will be banned. Perhaps this time around, T1 will actually take the Rek'Sai themselves, but going to be once again the Xin Zhao. And Oner has just had such a great series. He's so confident on this pick, and he just gets to play it consistently each and every time. And we just see something here for Gen G that can link up the prio bottom lane they're looking for and the scaling.
Please not Rek'Sai.
And no, if it's Rek'Sai Sejuani again, I think that's where, as a Gen G fan, you really lose a lot of your trust. We have not seen that work out. Canyon on something more aggressive. I already mentioned the Jax. It is a pick that is hard to reliably execute. Oh my, that's what we want!
Kha'Zix, the good old Peanut special coming through. First pick this season in the LCK has not been played for a very, very long time. I would not be shocked if when it comes up to how long it's been, it'll be Peanut was the last to play it, but Canyon's played it a lot in his career as well. This is a bold choice. A lot of burst damage for backline access, and it's going to be Zeus who gets the counter pick to the Cassante here, and the Gwen front to back here for T1 is amazing until the Aurelion Soul becomes too big to fail. But we already saw that too big to fail doesn't necessarily mean a guaranteed W. If you get caught, you make some mistakes.
Not only that, but Aso into double immune is actually takes away a lot of his power. I also think with the Lulu, it isn't as good of an Aso angle as it was. So Chovy needs the rest of his team to step up. And this is a bit of a monkey's ball situation because I wanted Canyon on the carry. I don't know if Kha'Zix really is the way to go. That said though, last time I remember Canyon pulling something out like this. It was the Kane back in Worlds 2022. He lost that game, but man did he have an individual carry performance, and he's got to step up if we want to go to Silver Scrapes.
I wouldn't mind to see at least in this position either, but he goes for the Kha'Zix, and they want to put the pressure onto Guma in this draft, put the pressure onto Faker. There's a lot of burst damage, and obviously later on the immunes will be somewhat of a problem for Chovy, but he's got a lot of consistent damage output later on. I think making sure that it's not just Chovy, and Pays is relevant. He has the mid game that this Lucian needs to succeed, the mid game that Guma had.
And the late game nowadays
as
well.
Late game quite strong too, but we need two threats here, not just one, and the Kha'Zix might shore some of that up, but the fact that he's so squishy could be a liability.
Well, here we go, guys. It's an interesting draft for game number 4. Let's hop onto the Rift. Game number 4 of this series that has already delivered, and this could be the last game. We'll have to wait and see how this one is going to pan out. Is Gen Z going to start off with some level 1 shenanigans, just a 3-man invade, trying to gain some presence on the bottom side of the map.
Really interested to see what Canyon is going to try and get done with this Kha'Zix. Obviously, one of the big benefits of this champion is that his isolated 1v1's insanely strong. Does get to have a big impact in team fights. Also see what the evolve path ends up being. We haven't seen this champion in a really long time. I know Peanut pulled it out many a time, and it really felt like he would always kind of lose, but then they'd win the game with his mid to late game impact. First strike definitely also going for that consistent burst later in the game. Not looking to flip it too early with something like a Dark Harvest.
Yeah,
you really need to pop off early.
You find a single target, you find a Lulu trying to clear vision, for example, you blow her up, you can take a ton of gold as well out of that with the first strike, as mentioned. Futures market has always been a staple of this Kha'Zix pick to try to accelerate as quickly as possible. And then when you get Umbroglaive in the past, when that was the viable option, you just clear a ton of vision to make it really difficult for a squishy support like Lulu to actually clear vision. But it is, of course, a lot of the time requires you to have map control. Otherwise, it just doesn't necessarily work out. You get splatted like a bug, as Kha'Zix is. And it is a very risky pick. And this is not necessarily the draft I was hoping for here. But it's the one we've got.
Yeah.
Futures market, as you can see here, the zombie ward as well.
Level 2 hit here. A tempo ignite as well. Just put some damage into Guma, who did go the barrier this time as well. Very common into Lucian. And they're going to see Canyon and what kind of path he's on. They can hit tabs. He's on 8. He's going to go for a full clear. And yeah, I think a large part of this game could come down to just how much impact he's going to have on what is a very nice little pocket pick for the finals. I'm not so sure, though. I kind of agree with you, Wolf, though. You know, maybe you just pick up the Lee Sin and you just go with extreme comfort and you're feeling pretty good if you wanted to go for something that has kill pressure.
Yeah, I'm not saying I like it. I'm happy to see it, just because it's a carry. It's something we haven't seen in a while. But Canyon is really going to have to convince us, because I think he's been pretty muted, as the last one to play it actually was Oner versus KT Cuz. Of course, the regular split was where KT reigned supreme.
Yeah.
Weren't able to actually pull it through to the end. But as mentioned, want to just full clear as much as possible. Get to 6, that's when you get a lot of your dueling power. You get a lot more space with the stealth in team fights as well.
And the ability to rush an objective very quickly as well in isolation can be quite strong. And, you know, we'll see how much agency he ends up getting in this game and how many times he can actually catch those solo targets, as he is pinged instantly here and won't be able to do a whole lot. Yeah, this is playoffs win streak for Oner.
This is a win streak for Xin Zhao. 5 games for Xin Zhao, and all of them were played by Oner. So I suppose both of us correct at the end of the day. He has been the only one to pick this one up for playoffs. Now, Oner could still go for this, and he is going to charge on in. Get the knock up here on Alahans, but really this is just about sending them away. And now the damage is coming in on Alahans. He's going to have to heal as they deny more and more farm from the bottom lane of FaZe and Lahans.
This is the big thing. Xin Zhao has so much dive threat. Kha'Zix, until level 6, basically is a bug. Not going to aid you too much in the dives.
I mean, he's coming over now. We'll see what he can get done.
Oh boy, Rue comes down on a FaZe, and now Canyon is here. And
what's he going to do?
Escort them to the turret, I guess? And that's about it, and they're still so low.
They're so low. Obviously, the Ignite is coming back here. Heal down for Lahens. Pretty disastrous. Chovy once again winning out on this lane. And maybe once again he'll be able to, if we get some mid-game skirmishes that go his way, try to 1v9. But the top side play allows for that bottom gank to come through from Oner. And yeah, he doesn't get the kills, but he denies so much farm from the Lucian. It's a Lucian now 12 CS down against Nephelios. The top side gank is no value whatsoever into Zeus, and he just shows up to bail them out, but there's nothing else.
Oner, probably the most often criticized member of this roster, has also had a lot of periods in which he was very visibly not in sync with the rest of his team, not able to actually make it work. Man, this playoffs, and obviously Lost Worlds as well. Really been a big moment for the guys. Faker just casually uses the best ability in the game. Walk.
Yeah, just walk in a straight line away from the skill shot.
If he gets hit by that, though, he is very likely dead.
Hey, his flash. He'll be fine.
Well, if he gets hit by it without flashing. I think I respect Chovy tossing that out there, try to get some additional advantages, shoves the wave in, but
oh boy,
comes up empty.
Yeah, and Lahens is mid. So he helps Chovy, who is already winning the lane, push the lane, I guess. And Pays just alone down here by himself, not able to farm. The lane, at least, is pushing into him, so I suppose that is a very small consolation prize. But he has already missed a lot of the CS. He might even miss this cannon here as well. That one melee minion getting to work on it. Yeah, he's not going to hit it. Oh, maybe keep it alive, actually.
I mean, that's the only good news is maybe you get the cannon.
Yeah, it's a very small piece of good news.
Yeah.
And he is going to pick it up.
Yeah, nicely done.
Wave comes in, should be able to catch up a little bit, but again, at the end of the day, Guma and Keria are owning this bottom lane at the moment.
This is not why you picked the Lucian to fall behind, but it's not Pays' fault. Lahens left him out to dry, and it was Canyon's topside gank that got nothing, that allowed for Oner to make this happen in the first place.
It's just good pathing from Oner as well, right? Very aware of how strong he is in the early game. Canyon is now level 6. Not sure what he went on the evolve. Looks like he did go for the claws, which does give him, as you mentioned, Wolf, a lot more both 1v1 potential as well as objective threat if he can get to a Dragon or a Herald alone. That said, Dragon gonna have to wait on that for a little bit. As only good Dragons left on the table. You love to see it.
It's going to be pretty big, especially for T1, who are already getting ahead of the curve with their bottom lane so far ahead. I think Canyon, you know, trying to get whatever he can at this point because he's not going to have any luck down here, that's for sure. T1 in absolute control of this lane, and Oner is still shadowing it just on the off chance Canyon does come down here. He's not really going to be able to do much except neutralize Oner's presence.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's not going to get value out of that evolved Q in the 3v3, and it's going to be Guma with red-white putting some more pressure on here. Should be able to break through this turret plate relatively easily with this cannon wave coming through, and Crescendum dodges the bubble. I mean, this is just a disaster here. He could just kind of kite his way back here, take the plate gold, and leave. 30 CS nearly the advantage here. Yeah, so especially with some of these being missed here for Pays.
Yeah, the bot lane is just in absolute shambles.
It's just a disaster.
Lahens hasn't hit a bubble yet. Pays has been, as you point out, the early trades not looking too odd, and after that, hasn't really been given a whole lot of opportunity, misses a lot of creeps here. And the rest of Gen G, they're going to have to find a way to bail out this bot lane. I do think that, much more so than in the past, the Lucian Nami has a lot more staying power. But if you, like, give up a turret, like, what, 12, 13 minutes in, and this Aphelios is going to be up like 3 plates and 40 CS, how are you going to fight into the mid-game?
All right, Bubble gonna miss as well. I mean, it's really rough as well when you get the speed up from the Lulu. It's just so easy to dodge those bubbles as the Aphelios. And really the difference here is that they have so much control of the lane and the wave that they can push up, threaten you, force out a bubble, just run away, and you can save the W, not to polymorph, but just to get Guma to safety.
We've seen, you know, throughout the season, especially with watching comms, some of the frustration Lahens has had with Pays in the laning phase, and he abandoned him there after the early exchanges went very poorly. Chovy committing that ultimate, you know, go back to when he tried to ult Faker there, and Faker just walked it off. I feel like the pressure is really on Gen G. He's like, maybe if I get this kill, maybe I can carry again. Lahens is like, oh, maybe Chovy's the main character here. Not going to trust this Lucian to necessarily get it done. And at the same time, I feel like I'm seeing shades of D+ Canyon here, where, you know, for a lot of the time when he didn't have lane prio, didn't have control, wasn't able to path, wasn't able to make a large impact, and ended up just kind of PvEing while the rest of his lanes were falling apart. Not saying that's necessarily how the rest of this game is going to go, but the early game here for T1 feels so free.
Well, in this case, I'd rather flip it around. Canyon is going to have to carry, because he's the one getting ahead in the farm. He's the one picking the carry for himself. And that is all fine and dandy, but partially this has been due to Pays and Lahens, but partially it has been due to Oner and his early pathing and the fact that he has been making an impact. So if Canyon isn't able to make his presence known, get to these fights on this Kha'Zix, it's going to be a disaster. Actually swapping away from this 2v2, so now Keen, who I guess is happy he's not laning into Gwen, that's something, but laning into a fed Aphelios is not going to feel a whole lot better.
Yeah, he's he's down here. Now Keen is going to be able to stay alive, especially because Keria does take 2 turret hits. But at the same time, it's Aphelios against a turret. We've all seen this before. And he's getting to work pretty heavily on those turret plays. Just now trying to get on top of Zeus here. He has the needles. Looking to take out Lahens nearly, and it's going to survive. And now here's Faker up on the top side of the map as well. Going to keep him safe and maybe even look for a play as FaZe has to flash away from that one. Some pretty low health bars. Here comes Chovy though, looking to turn this one onto Zeus, who's just barely out of range of the culling, and will survive for now. But the ultimate will come down from the Aurelion Soul, trying to turn it onto FaZe. They will get that kill, but Chovy as well does pick up one. It is a 2 for 2 in the die.
I mean, Faker almost picks up a triple, and I mean, this is playing T1's game. You know, trying to force these fights so you don't have full control, you don't have full information about where Faker is asking for trouble, and this just really isn't the trade-up you were looking for as Gen G. Now, ultimately, you do get some plate gold here for the Lucian. Do end up getting some kills there. The Kha'Zix gets a kill, so Canyon going to be slightly accelerated here with his futures market. Maybe he can make an impact here in some upcoming skirmishes, but...
Canyon? I gotta peace out, buddy. I don't know about that last one. This one should be fine, but is running away. Oner could have definitely applied some pressure there. It's messy. Wolf, so many skill shots not hitting there. Lahens on the Dings bubble. Pace is calling, going into the nether. And if you make this play, you need to hit. Like Lahens, he flashes into the W. Zeus is still able to sidestep. Faker's timing here is great, and then they're able to extend the play, get the resets back. Pace finds the flash, and then Chovy ends up making his way over. But then here as well, the calling, as mentioned, not going in. And they don't have anyone that can reliably tank this. They don't have a lot of CC. So as a result, Faker ends up being the one that actually, I think, got the first blood before they got the 2 kills. And Chovy doesn't even pick up the gold. Does go to Canyon, Umbroglaive now done, and he has a kill. But is that alone going to be enough to turn the tides and bring us to Game 5?
It's red-white right there. Canyon is in the area. That's going to keep him alive. Got to be careful against that Aphelios, who's in a very good spot at this time. No completed item just yet. But now Oner going to make his way over here as well. And maybe just trying to get some presence here, some priority for this Ocean Drake that we do have on the map. T1 would love to pick that one up and move into a great soul that we eventually get in this game.
Another culling just tossed out. No real value here for FaZe, and Gen G don't have control over this dragon here. They do have Chovy, who can roam up pretty easily with his flight here. And he's putting the hurt onto Faker, so they should be able to wrestle that prio away. It's off the back of, once again, Chovy winning out in the Azir lane here. And, yeah, I mean, it's not done yet, because this wave is pushed in here by Guma. And they're going to have to get TP.
Yeah, they're going to make a play for this one. Pays takes some big damage early on, but Gen G full committal onto this objective and no TP from the side of Zeus. So T1 say, okay, we'll give it away. And that'll be the end of that. And now Zeus is going to get some free time with that top turret.
And that's for one dragon. I don't know if you really want to do that. We do see Keen making his way back. I wouldn't even mind if he ends up ghosting. Keria's like, just let my guy get a plate, okay? In top lane, he's been getting ganked, he's been getting dove. Zeus will be able to pick that up. And obviously, once we get to the later stages, this Gwen is going to absolutely shred through. A single dragon, that's nice. And I can't imagine a more obnoxious thing than either an Asol or a Gwen with a Hextech. Gwen in the 1v1, Asol just because all of his skills eventually become so big that trying to get away from both a Rylai's slow and a Hextech is not really attainable.
It's not really going to be what you want to deal with. This is not the same speed at which Chovy was able to come online as he was in Game 2 with the Aurelion Soul, and the scaling aspects of this composition, this time it's not also into a T1 comp that has problems in the late game. They're not playing the Aurelion Soul slows into a Callista. It's going to be an Aphelios that's low range, sure, but it's going to be very protected by Olulu. Will have a huge damage output in these team fights. So Chovy hoping to get some fight wins, hoping to get bigger advantages than he has right now, and Gen G really need to slow this game down. And once again, just like the last time around, Pays isn't really going to be, unless something changes here soon, the threat. It's only Chovy. Canyon, a secondary threat, but without map control, this Umbroglaive means very little.
Big thing, though, is that, yes, Pays really suffered early, but when all is said and done, I think he was down about 300 gold. He did pick up a kill. So the gold lead is still in favor of T1, but it's not insurmountable by any means. We'll see if they want to commit. Zeus does FTP.
Yeah.
Does not, and I think that's why Gen G is saying, I don't know if we're going to contest this one.
Yeah, don't necessarily have to. I mean, they could have said, okay, well, Chovy's in a pretty good spot. Maybe he throws down an ult and maybe we can pick someone off. But especially, you know, Lucian only on 1.5 items. You're not really going to have a lot of pick potential this early on. So they're just going to give this one away to T1, who did, as you mentioned, also have TP advantage. And we will just continue to scale up in this game. At the end of the day, you know, we might have both teams just saying, okay, let's wait for the late game because, yeah, you got this early in Seoul, but you also have Gwen, Azir, and Aphelios, so.
And Lulu.
Yeah, and Lulu, as in the 1v1, Canyon is going to have a decent time, but now Zeus is here. And Canyon is going to ult away.
X-Gate.
Oh, okay.
TP.
We're going ham.
And they will get the turret off of this. And Chovy's like, I'm getting more stacks off of the TP. But it does mean that Faker with Nashor's Tooth up here is going to be unanswered. Keen does not have teleport. They're going to push mid as well. So maybe a 1 for 2 here. Gen G get 1, T1. Most of this mid turret, they guarantee this top turret. And this ended up being a waste of teleport here for Chovy.
We are seeing a little bit of confidence, though, from Gen G. And that's something I think we haven't seen until, what, like midway through game number 2. As we might have a fight here.
Oh boy, they're all caught in it as he's on top of them as well into the bubble. And Keria has to flash away. They barely get out of that one. Gen G threatening underneath the turret, but at the end of the day, T1 will keep their turret alive.
2 flashes expended here for T1. Guma and Keria losing those after the ultimate comes down from Chovy. He has enough stacks to get the empowered one, so it is a huge threat. Large is the area where you could dock them up there, and the follow-up was there. The bubble was fantastic, but they don't quite have the damage just yet. And it comes at a timing to where if this was as Dragon was spawning, you'd feel really good about pushing them away, but you get neither the turret nor an objective from this play. So once again, Chovy looking for a big angle here, but now doesn't have his empowered ultimate for the next Dragon fight.
Canyon about to hit level 11. Incredible power spike for the Kazakhs as he gets his second evolve. It's going to be all about the fights. We already saw in the last game, Pace not able to carry. Guma is in a much better position than he was. There is no Zac, but there is an Aesol, which still is going to make playing out the mid to late game a bit of a nightmare. Herald is available here. Chovy doesn't have his Liandry's done just yet, and with the turret gone, he needs to really be respectful to not get caught inside. Hayes now finally getting his second item online, of course. Having some discount on those items rather than being relatively cheaper ends up working out as we do see mid lane turret going down after the earlier pressure from T1.
Could have drive this one away and try to get some more value here towards the top side potentially, but we'll bump into a wall. We'll let it slide. Now, the flashes are down here from Guma and Keria, and I think if you had a Nautilus in this composition or a little bit more engage-focused jungler, that could be relatively powerful. You still have the Kazakhs here. Well, I imagine probably evolved his ultimate. Yeah, he did.
Oh, W, I think.
W.
Oh, actually, it is the W.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
W second.
So he's got a lot of burst damage here on top of Guma if he can get towards him, but it's going to be so difficult with Wild Growth to actually burst Guma down. Faker obviously has this arm guard for this fight, and I don't know if those 2 flashes being down necessarily matters here for T1. Chovy does not have his Liandry's just yet.
That's big. There is Eclipse though for Canyon, so his burst in these fights can be insane. Keena's TP, and T1, it looks like they're just going to go for the cross map.
That is a decision you can make, and I think they should get some damage done to this turret, but at the end of the day, Akina's going to get up to the top side and deny that turret from going down. They also pick up the first Hextech Drake of the game. T1 essentially saying, okay, you want to go late game, take the Drake, sure, whatever, we're going to try to get some gold, we're going to try to maintain a lead.
Chovy and Paze fighting for farm in the mid lane. Chovy's going to get a majority of those, obviously, with the execute from the Singularity, but he gets value out of those stacks, and he'll be able to potentially grab some in the side here as well. As if T1 gives that Dragon up, they give more time to the Aurelion Soul, give more time for him to sit back and farm. And while it is good for...
Basically just a, you know...
Boom, boom damage, Valdez!
Hands off my mid lane!
Yeah, don't come near my turret. It's mine. Don't touch it.
There's no objective. Outside the Baron, I don't think Gen G are going to try and look for a 2-man Baron. Although, to be honest, you know, with Kazakhs and if Chovy has his Liandry's, Gen G maybe could opt into it. Canyon is very fed. We'll see if he tries to go for a 1-for-1 on Oner here. No, he just takes his objective.
Yeah, he'll get the objective.
Going.
They do with Keen.
So
Oh, yeah, look at Oner. He's in a lot of trouble. He can't get away from the Kazakhs.
The
Meanwhile-
evolve on the W is good enough here to get the
Yeah.
slow and chase him down in the 1v1. Made the right choice on this one, and that's the 1v1 you need, and now maybe that threat of the Baron is there. Leandri's there for this Aurelion Sol. Keen gonna take some damage here from Faker, but he doesn't have a Leandri, so Keen can basically just walk this off. They're not gonna start the Baron, they want more though.
And they thought he was threatening them. They thought, you know, he was just trying to beat BM, but actually, he is gonna bait Faker into staying around and having a flash away from Chovy. As now Pays with the culling, chasing down Keria, has to wild growth. As now with Keen in the front line, he is just so tanky at this point in time with the Spirit Facades finish, and he will be able to escort them out.
Hextech gate for Oner, he can rejoin very quickly. I think Genji should back away. They were able to maybe force something. Okay, wait.
A little bit of a pick here onto the Gwen, some poke coming down. And with the Lucian and the Kazakhs from ahead, it's just so difficult to approach any brush.
It's also Umbro Glaive. We haven't talked about it that much, but Canyon, once he is able to like find a 1v1 like that, which that's why you picked the Kazakhs, obviously, as we saw their owner not going to win that if he is in isolation, even with Faker trying to roam up. The big thing here, as you point out, Wolf, with the slow, you have enough time. And because of the evolved Q, like the isolated, even through the heal, it just isn't enough. You're never going to be able to keep the Kazakhs off. And these are the moments that you need to have on this Kazakh. You said it at the beginning. This champion does nothing if you're not killing people. And Canyon, after Sejuani duty, has been a really big part of the pressure. Look at the farm as well.
Yeah, now he's starting to find these angles. Now he's got the vision control with the Umbro Glaive you just mentioned. We talked about it earlier, but it looked like maybe Genji was never going to get map control back. They have once again controlled vision here around the pit. They forced T1 into an awkward skirmish moments before because there was just no vision whatsoever. They've done it now again. Look at how quickly Canyon can clear these wards, and Faker's the target.
Yeah, he's going to clear the ward, but he is going to dash away. But now, can you get away from the Aurelion Sol without a flash? He is going to divide, and Oner is providing a front line here. Goes into the Zonyas, a chance for T1, but now Guma in the 2v2, desperate to take it down.
Yes.
Gets the red ult down, and now Zeus is going to take out Canyon on the top side of this fight. Chovy just trying to kite away from Zeus, and Zeus is going to be isolated here. The rest of the team not able to follow up on the Gwen. And it ends up being just a 1-for-1.
And look at the Summoner Bonanza being thrown out. We have flashes gone, we have barriers gone. That could have been a game-ending moment for either team. If you lose that fight, Baron's gone. Both teams have insanely quick Barons.
Plus great siege and really fast wave push to take out these inner turrets and then push down towards the inhibitors. As this is such a tense moment here, Canyon decides he wants to go in on this. Faker escapes, and they commit everything. The Hens drops down the ultimate here, and Faker lives long enough with the Emperor's Divide that Oner is able to help take out Canyon. The follow-up here, very awkward, as Guma's flash is fantastic with the polymorph. If he dies there, this could be a disaster for the side of T1. As with Chovy's slows, we talked about the immortality of the Gwen, but the slows really stack up against her. They have the slows from the Kazakhs W as well. Looking at these team fights and how they go, as this Aurelion Sol is now starting to become a huge threat, can be very difficult to play out.
Ghostin!
He's getting ghosted at right now. Guma, he doesn't have flash, and he's just dead under the mid-inner turret. They just ran right at him. There wasn't anything he could do.
Keen walked at him, man. What are you gonna do? With all the speed in the world, Genji looking to set up for Hextech Soul Point. Hextech Soul with an A-Soul, by the way.
And there's vision on the Baron, and there's no way without Guma that T1 could ever make a play for it. Baker gets the turret bottom side, he has TP, but they just cannot contest this Dragon. And Canyon with the evolved Q could just rush this one down as we talked about before. And look at this, grouping now around the Baron to make sure there's no play for T1. They're not even going to be able to fight for vision here easily. Chovy's going to be able to grab these. He has TP as well, and Genji have full control.
Going in onto Cassante, and Keen went in as well. He's like, okay, you want to fight? Let's fight. Didn't really show a lot of apprehension there. And now Chovy able to join on up from the bottom lane as he is getting quite fed.
I also think Genji is having some flashbacks to every time they didn't get their eyes on the Baron, and T1 snuck one away.
Oh boy, Guma again in the mid lane. This time he will get away as it was just the culling. But now an ultimate to be shot down here from the side of Chovy. Really trying to take out that Aphelios.
Not worth, I think, here for Chovy. Gets the heal, as you mentioned, but... And Leandri's damage can sometimes actually just guarantee you a kill in moments like that, but... Bit of an odd choice considering now that huge ultimate is not going to be online for the next objective fight. Sure, 4 minutes to go before the soul fight, but it could be useful on an upcoming Baron, and you're going to have to stack it back up to get the empowered once again as Guma. He gets walked on here.
Doesn't get to do a whole lot, more than enough damage available. Once the slow comes in, there is so much CC available for Gen G. The big thing though is that yes, Gen G, they're setting up for soul points. They have decent map control. Canyon is quite fed, but T1, we've seen how tenacious they were in game number 1, and I think they're going to try and do it here again. As you already mentioned, Veldes, their scaling is still exceptional. The only thing is that they don't really have a front line. They have 2 characters with the Gwen and the Xin Zhao that are much beefier than they appear. But nonetheless, if you make a misstep, you might still be in trouble. And I wasn't sure about this Kha'Zix. I don't know if it's going to end up being enough, but Canyon on a carry, that feels good.
Yeah, it's very reminiscent of a lot of what we've seen from this guy at his peak in Damwon. World's MVP. The man has done so much, and in this game, he's not a tank, as mentioned, but he is a vision-clearing machine. He is such a threat to anyone who walks into him 1v1. Gen G playing around these slows, Chovy just going between top and mid and grabbing as many stacks as he can to re-empower his ultimate. Has the Horizon focus. It's Oner!
Oh, somebody's got to check, and it's Oner this time around. He is going to walk it off. But now, I think with the Hextech Rift, maybe Oner gets back here, but Gen G's still going to try to go for this Baron.
They're so fast.
Yeah.
So much damage.
Look at that!
The Aurelion Soul just holds Q.
Yeah, never mind.
It's gone.
They're going to try for the TP.
Yeah, they're TPing in. They want to try to take a fight, but it's too late. It's too fast. The Baron is gone. And Gen G will pick it up, and T1 are like, well, so never mind. And now Oner just runs into them, assumes they backed, and that is going to be the end of that. As now a gigantic ultimate going to hit the rift here. It's a 5v4 in favor of Gen G. And quickly going their way as it's 5v3. Faker gets slowed up, goes for a bit of a split, but there's no follow-up. Guma can't do it alone. They take him out, and clean ace to take this fight and maybe just the game.
Is it happening? Is it happening? Game 5! Game 5! One time in my LCK finals in spring! And it looks like it may very well. They get the clean ace. They have Baron here. It's not over till the Nexus falls, as T1 has shown us many times, but now they know what it feels like to have a Baron taken away from them. This wasn't a sneak though, this was just full map control, and Oner assumes the backs. As you mentioned, they have no vision whatsoever because the Umbral is just there, and even if you don't get hit by the center, as Keria does here, everybody gets slowed. The Rylai's comes through on the follow-up. Look at how much work Keen does on this Cassante by himself. Guma doesn't even kill him here in these final moments.
Crucially, Canyon started off from stealth, no time to react for Oner, and then it's these isolated 1v1s, 2v2s.
Oh no.
Where you just don't get to do a whole lot. Kha'Zix gets to pick off target after target. Went for Cleaver, which not only makes him more beefy, but also reduces the already low level of tankiness on T1, allowing Pace to do more damage. The movement speed big as well.
Oh boy.
Hextech Soul in 50 seconds.
Yeah, and that is a giant jump in gold. Now it's Gen G who are in the driver's seat. 8,000 gold ahead, a 6,500 gold Red Bull Baron power play as they leap into the lead. Gen G looking to push mid and bot before this dragon does spawn.
Look at the Aurelion Soul Siege, it's just insane. Even his autos at this late game.
The Grubs! Little Grubby's getting in there. And you see Zeus is trying to push top. I mean, that's basically all he can do at this point in time, as he's not going to provide much of a defense anyway. But it is Gen G closing down on the base. They're looking for the end of this game. The 3-man ult comes in. Keria goes down. Oner survives with the Crescent Guard, but maybe not for long. Guma, desperation as he steps up to the Gen G members who are trying to put an end to this game.
Canyon, they trust him with the Kha'Zix. He brings us to a 5th one. Zeus.
It's happening, guys. Zeus is desperate. He is so desperate to try to not allow this to go to game 5, but it is inevitable. Gen G will take down the turret, and they will take down this Nexus. Faker gets flashed on, and he goes into Zhonya's just to die at the end. Gen G bring us to silver screens.